Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Olivet City Council meeting. Today is March 14th, 2023 at 7:04. We're at this Olivet City Center in the city chambers at 1140 Dealman Road in Olivet, Missouri 63132. Please take roll call.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Waldman,
Here.
Councilmember Knox,
Here.
Chairman Carl,
Here.
Mayor.
Here. Next item, please.
Next item is communications. Mayor, we have received no written communications.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is city manager's report.
Good evening. All right, the first regular meeting of the month, we usually go over the dashboard for 5 Oaks on Warson and Warson Park project. We no longer are reviewing the parks projects as those are complete. There are a couple few things that they're finishing up. They've been finishing up the last couple weeks, so I anticipate in the next month we'll have the final payout for that, and that will be completed. With regard to 5 Oaks on Warson, there are a lot of crews out there, a lot of different crews. The maintenance facility, our park maintenance folks have moved into that facility. So they're now in their new home, making it their own, which is exciting. There's been really no advancement on the loop paths over the last couple of months. You can see they are all the various trades that are now in the community center working on the mechanical, electrical, the interior framing. They've begun drywalling. And so it's really starting to look like a building, and you can see the rooms, which is exciting. The GRG trail that runs from Warson Road to the back of the park, Warson Park, that concrete is complete. They still need to do 2 nodes, 2 little rest areas, and that's actually they're kind of finalizing signs. They need to make sure the signs are ready to go in there, the interpretive signs, etc. With all the work that's been going on, there's still quite a bit to do. You know, so we are, there's not nearly as far along as we had hoped. In fact, that is one of the issues to talk about this evening, is that the rooftop units are supposed to be installed in March. They've not arrived yet, and we're having difficulty getting any confirmation on when they will arrive. That's a big issue, because that you can't test any of the HVAC units. You can't test your power. There's a lot that hinges on those being in. It's you know, your building isn't sealed up until those are in. With that aside, the council is aware we were running late on the project. We had hoped to have in January, February. It went to March, and we're now looking at the end of June for substantial completion. And that is if the RTUs arrive in the next few weeks and are installed in the next few weeks. So that is definitely the bad news that I have for this evening. Financially, we have, as you can see on the project financial summary, we have a number of potential change requests out. We have some potential change orders in at this point. We still have revenues that will cover the costs. We are not looking at any utilization of any general fund monies at this point, and I don't really foresee that happening. One of the things that is good for us with this delay is that we are able to, the finance director
has invested that money. And so we are earning those bond funds. And so we are earning a good deal of interest, particularly now, as we're earning more now than we did before. That in a conjunction with, other grant funding, et cetera, we still look on key for the financially. We remain on target as well for our MBE and our WBE goals, which is good. The risks that we have, again, schedule risks, getting the permanent power, the rooftop units, and then the indoor playground windows, getting those in. Those had to be reordered. And so I believe they are arriving soon. I don't think there was as much of a wait time on those. But that will then allow us to button up that indoor playground. We have been storing the indoor playground equipment at the Public Works building, but then we really need to, we had anticipated it not being in the weather being as long as it's been, although, it's crated, et cetera. And it is playground equipment that can be used outdoors. However, we are, are concerned the longer something sits in the crate. We're moving forward with the furniture procurement, the fitness equipment, the IT. The problem we're starting to run in now is we're having to pay storage, warehousing fees as things come in and they don't have a place they can go. So again, the schedule delay is driving a lot of our concerns right now. But with that, if you want to get happy again, you can look at the pictures and it's looking great. That's the back side at the lower left. The indoor playground at the upper right is along with that's the multi-purpose rooms. You can look again, you start seeing things taking shape. That's looking out the windows of the aerobics room on the left, the welcome desks, starting to really look like welcome desk. The multi-purpose rooms that we talked about and those windows in the back, those are the ones that go to the patio. This is the fitness room. If you're standing kind of at the door of the fitness room and you're looking to the right, that's that lovely view that you have there in the fitness room. And that's Councilmember Waldman's school. That was what it looked like the day she left. And no, no, that's the old community center is coming down. So I don't even, they anticipated that taking a couple weeks, I believe. Yep. And so that's also kind of an exciting new chapter in the city, in the story of Olivet. Actually, before I move on, are there any questions on this? Before I move on, are there any questions on this part? Okay. Yep. Can you use microphone then too?
Yeah, I went to summer school there
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
was a child,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of memories there.
Yeah.
I had fun.
I just have a question. So when you said the opening, it's not the opening of the office room, it's that those have
Substantial completion.
Get on path to set up, probably the month of July. So we're looking at. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't have my mic on. So it's not the opening in June, it is the substantial completion.
Correct.
So if we hit the substantial completion by the end of June, are we thinking 4 to 6 weeks until we would open our doors for programming? Or
It's hard to say at this point, but a safe bet would be 4 to 6. And then, might be earlier.
Okay.
Depends.
Okay,
4
4 to 6, 6 to 8, that's what I'm, okay, great, thank you.
So the council has asked for monthly updates on the Gateway I-170 TIF project. That, of course, is also goes by the name of Olive Crossing. The full site improvement plan, again, not much has changed here from 2 months ago. And I do want to say that I did have a February report to show on the 28th of February, but I was not here. But this, I did ask the developer to update it for March. And then I am going to suggest that the council may want to just keep the update on the gateway on the first meeting, along with the community center. That way it's kind of easy to remember when it's due. But one of the changes here is there's been a revised MoDOT permit with U City. And that was approved then in February of 2023. So that's kind of, and they've executed the actual agreement with U City in March of this year. So MoDOT changed the permit to add U City, some of that U City work again, if you recall, with the developments on the east side of 170. They wanted the dedicated lane to go that goes off into south I-170, southbound I-170. They wanted that to go longer. And so that changed the scope of that work a little bit. And it made sense for the two developers to negotiate an agreement at which only the Keeley will be now doing that work. That's all on our side of on the Olivet side of I-170.
But we're not paying for it, though. We're just doing it. They're paying-
Correct. There's an agreement to, one developer will reimburse the other. With regard to lot 3, that's the, funny, I had these out of order. Lot 3 is the multi-tenant retail. That's kind of by the northwest corner. Again, the construction docks are still scheduled for the end of March. The one tenant lease is under negotiations. Another is nearly complete. Negotiations are underway. And final construction document review meeting is March 17th. Yep.
But it says construction began June of 2023. Not in June of 2023 yet.
Oh, it's just a typo.
So the hope is it will begin. in
Construction
23?
begins.
The show. Okay. Thank you.
Lot 4, the apartment complex. Again, they're still on target for construction completion the third quarter of this year. Again, they have, as everyone is doing now, pending material deliveries. But that's actually moving along fairly well, at a good clip now. Lots 1 and 2, which may be a single retailer or commercial unit, or could be multiple tenants. We are still not sure on that. Negotiations are underway with at least one larger tenant and possibly a couple others. Lot 5 is the office. Nothing really has changed on that. They were hoping to have a tenant contract in this month. They're still working towards this schedule. And lot 6 is the hotel that is under contract. And it's really that timing of this is dependent on the office, the timing of the office. With that, do you have any questions on the Gateway I-170 TIF update?
Will these be posted on the website?
They're part of the city manager's report.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
And then the city manager report also is a link that you can go to see prior ones and prior ones as well. The hotel would not be started until the residential or business construction is completed?
It's dependent on actually more the office. When that office is going to be up and going. I think it's the contract with the hotel where they want to make sure that there's the need is there.
It is also related to the fact that they don't want to be driving across the office complex construction mess to get to the hotel. So they're not going to build it until after the office is done.
But the office is before the. Okay.
Are there any other questions? Great. Thank
This is Holy Fest 2023. We had she's right there. We had an exceptionally large crowd, larger than was anticipated. And I would like to just thank the residents of Olivet. We had estimates for this 4-hour period of time range from anywhere from, 4,000 to 5,000 people. Or a lot of, and those people, most of them, I think they all drove separately. So that created quite a bit of issues for parking in that area. And I gotta tell you, we had, a couple of complaints, but we also had a couple of people who said, yeah, it was a drag driving there, and somebody parked in front of our hydrant in front of the road, but the event looked good, and I think that says a lot, because, there are times, the turkey trot, you have a lot of people, but it's a holiday in the morning and it's pretty isolated. This is a Saturday on the afternoon. And so it was a good event. We were a little bit caught, unexpected, didn't expect the number of people that came. And it was also a beautiful day. So we did have our first hot wash of the event today, where we discussed, what do we do? How do we improve? Is it getting too big? And so those conversations will continue. The main thing is if you're going to have an event like this, we really need additional parking. And, and there's only a couple of places where we can look to for that parking. So more to come on that, I think, but it was a great event. No, the police really had to focus on the vehicular traffic. And that tells me that of all those people there, we didn't have any issues with the people. And that's a lot. That says a lot about the participants, the organizers, and the residents. And Beverly Tucker Knight and her crew. And in case you want to blame somebody, then it's her. Upcoming meetings, we have the Park and Recreation Commission tomorrow, 7 p.m. We have a special Planning and Community Design Commission / City Council joint meeting on March 16th at 7 p.m. We have the council has a special work session on March 21st at 7 p.m. The Economic Development Commission meets March 27th. The next regular city council meeting is March 28th. And then the next workshop is April 4th. And with that, any other questions? Happy to answer.
Next council meeting, at least the next Tuesday, that's open. Where there won't be a council meeting is 2020, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to know.
It's a busy time.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Are there any questions from any of the council members?
Could I ask about the water project and the asphalt sloppy repair job that is occurring right now? Streets of Indian Meadows.
Okay, we're going to talk about that actually later tonight. And it's one
Okay.
of the items, so I think we can get to it then.
Okay, great. Thank you much.
Next item, please.
Next item is city council reports.
I'll start at this far end. Councilmember Knox, were you at any meetings this month?
Yes, I was at the meeting with the comprehensive plan meeting. It was very productive. It was very engaging, and I'm looking forward to more of those. Also, I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting with a few of the other council members. And I really have to say, I was very proud of our first responders for their awards and all they do. That's all I
Thank
have.
Thank you.
I have nothing to report, other than I also attended the chamber dinner and agree and wanted to echo, councilperson Knox's comments.
Thank you. Sydney,
I have nothing to report at this time.
Councilmember Waldman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Like everybody else, we attended that dinner that honors the public servants of Creve Coeur, St. Louis County, and the city of Olivet. Always impressed with that. Always impressed. Tomorrow night is this Thursday night will be the joint meeting with City Council and Planning Community Design. The Planning Community Design Commission met earlier this month. Carlos put out a summary. I'm sorry I didn't bring all my paperwork to further make a report, but tonight we did interview excuse me, an individual, and hopefully we can secure that and have full membership on our planning board again. So with that, thank you much.
Thank you. I attended the MML event as well, and like my fellow council members have said, very proud of our first responders. Each community had 2 people represent that earned awards. Ours, their plaques were misspelled, so we had a good laugh, but it's always nice to socialize with outside of our everyday work and celebrate their accomplishments. I also attended last week the Housing Authority meeting. Our representatives from Olivet that were there were Donna Turpin, Suzanne Antoine, and Ellen Shapiro. They reviewed their core objectives and key results. They are working diligently to improve community service, customer service, increase partnerships, and expand their access to affordable housing through real estate programs that they are working with. They're also working towards improving their branding and communication. We heard about the improvements of the Olivet units with some of the maintenance and construction they've been doing. We received a financial summary. One of the best things they've done in a while is that they have moved the maintenance in-house. So the property management is now employees of their staff. So they oversee that. It's not third party, and then so there's more ownership. They have increased that staff in-house to 2 supervisors and 5 maintenance technicians. So when they send people in to fix things in all of the units across St. Louis, but knowing for ours in Olivet, that the people that they're hiring are capable of doing many of these jobs. If there's a problem with someone's HVAC in the middle of winter, because they're hiring maintenance technicians, they're able to fix it. Most of the fixes of things that they get are, they say they're fixed within 24 to 48 hours. As always, we are at 100% capacity. And then they also gave us a report about their agency performance reviews. And their scores are very high for this area. And like I said, we reviewed their objectives and the delivery of services and how they do that safely and effectively to ensure residents and landlords and employees feel respected during interactions with the housing authority, and to help residents and families gain self-sufficiency through partnerships with other organizations in our community. So it's just not helping people find housing, it's helping them be integrated in the community and helping them be successful so that they can move on to the next step in their lives after they've had some hardships. They're looking to expand access to desirable and affordable housing. And we'll be sharing more along those lines in the months to come.
Madam Mayor, they be looking for access up to expand affordable housing in Olivet, or is this their mission overall around the entire county? And we maintain the 14 or 18 homes we have in our own area.
It's never not on the table.
Okay.
And especially with us working with our DEI process that there will be conversations to be had in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Next item is hearing from citizens.
If there's anyone online that would like to speak tonight, if you could just designate by raising a hand in the icons, we will be happy to bring you over. You will need to identify yourself and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Otherwise, we will move on. Okay, next item, please.
Next item is item number 6, bill number 2998, an ordinance authorizing a special permit to Honig Management LLC to operate a private dog club and dog run facility on the property grounds addressed as 1160 Walters Way Lane, zoned LID, Light Industrial District. Second reading and a public hearing.
Good evening,
Good
Mayor. If you're
evening, Mayor.
prepared to go into public hearing? Or
Yes.
is there any question?
So we're gonna move our into public hearing. Do I need a motion for that?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Carlos Trejo. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Olivet. And tonight I am here to present Bill 2998, which authorizes a special permit to the property address as 1160 Walters Way Lane for the operation of what we term a private dog club and dog run facility on the property grounds. The next slide will show you a general location. It is located in the Dillman Industrial Park off of Walters Way, which is a stub street just north of Dillman Industrial. It's highlighted in yellow right next across the street from Enterprise Fleet Management and behind Virginia Tile. Its address is 1160 Walters Way Lane. It's 1.5 acres and it's currently unimproved. So this property hasn't been developed in there, and it is zoned what we call LID, Light Industrial District in there. The next slide, what is proposed tonight is a recreation and social club for dogs and owners. The services that would be provided on that side would be self-service grooming, training, fence outdoor play areas for small and large dogs, opportunities for special events to take place for club members, and retail within the facilities. So it's kind of exciting and unique different use. We are classifying it as a special permit, which you will see in the next slide. And what a special permit requires is the review and recommendation from the city's Planning and Community Design Commission and ultimate approval by the City Council following a public hearing in there. So what's the purpose? What's the intent and purpose of special permits? It's to evaluate on the basis to determine suitability of certain land uses under prescribed conditions. These are land uses that are identified but are somewhat placed under a microscope for the review, and only the commission is delegated the authority to review and recommend and report back to the council, with the council having the final say. They're not uses that are permitted by right, and they are, except they're determined to be what they call suitable and compatible by the Plan Commission in its report to the council, meaning that in some cases, it's not ideal for every specific property. They are evaluated on a case-by-case basis, where in the same district, in one location, it might be reasonable, in another district, in a similar district, in a different location, it might not be. The city reserves the full discretion to deny any such application or revoke an application if there are findings that the uses have become unsuitable or incompatible with the surroundings, or that the conditions are not being observed in that process. And wanted to note that clearly in terms of what special permit processes are for. So how do we evaluate a special permit? On the next slide, you'll see that under our ordinance, special permits have to be listed in the designated zoning district. And in this case, I'll explain to you, in the LID district, they allow commercial kennels. They also allow both indoor and outdoor recreational areas. That the use and location is consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2006 comprehensive plan. I'll go through that and the commission's findings in a second. That the parcel is suitable of, that the parcel that this use is suitable considering its size, shape, location, topography, existence of improvements and such. And that could be sanitary facilities, water facilities, other type of utilities. That the use itself will not alter the architectural character, traffic circulation, or site and building connectivity of its surroundings. That any spillover effects are mitigated like lighting, traffic, noise, and that the city maintains the right to impose additional conditions, restrict hours, aesthetic standards, architectural standards, and things in the process to make this, again, suitable and compatible with the surroundings. The next slide will note the findings of the commission, in which while the 2006 comprehensive plan is silent about dog facilities, nowhere in the comprehensive plan are you going to find references to dogs. But you will find that a key strategy is to explore a mixture of uses where it is appropriate, especially in our industrial parks. Private dog clubs or dog run parks are not listed in the light industrial district, but under section 400-480-A21, the PCDC does have authorization to consider identical or similar uses to those outlined in the LID district. And again, in this LID district, there are references to recreational uses and there are references to commercial dog kennels. In this case, this is kind of a hybrid between the two. There's no overnight stays in the process, and there's both indoor and outdoor recreational opportunities for pets. On February 6th, the 16th, 2023, the Plan Commission recommended authorization of the special permit use with the approval of a conceptual development plan. Commission recognized that the petitioner still has additional engineering and architecture to go, but was confident enough to express that the use would be compatible based on the conceptual drawings that were provided in that process, and that is permitted within our code. The next slide you'll find in the commission review, they concurred with staff that the use of private dog club and dog park can be considered as a special permit in the LID district. While it's not directly called out in the 2006 comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan does promote the expansion of commercial amenities, unique retail opportunities that have cross-generational appeal, provides an integrated mix of uses to meet local needs and interests, to reduce needs of travel, to strengthen our existing employment centers within the community by working within the industrial parks to determine their infrastructure and programming needs, introduce a mix of uses in the industrial parks where appropriate, and provide personal and business services and restaurants and retail uses for employees and visitors. And what this private dog park and run would provide in that process. So the commission found that the site grounds are suitable for the proposed use, the 1.5 acres, given its location, that they will not alter the overall character or appearance or impact, including traffic of the area, and that given a well-designed materials would mitigate any potential spillover effects generated by the authorization of this use. Commission forwarded a recommendation to the council to authorize the issuance of the special permit subject to the conditions noted herein and provided within your bill. These were that a final site plan and development review be required by the and that only will go through the commission. That a final stormwater plan following MSD approval be submitted for the commission's review. They also noted that there was some ponding concerns along the north property line that need to be addressed. That the primary building on the parcel grounds contain at least 50% masonry along the south and east building elevations. There will be a small building that's illustrated in your packets of information. That the fence enclosures along the south and north and east consist of ornamental fencing, and all other fencing at a minimum consist of vinyl coated chain link. So no, exposed metal or untreated chain link fences, especially for the dog enclosures. Exterior lighting fully comply with exterior lighting standards under chapter 428, and that all color temperatures of set lighting be below 4,000 Kelvin. that authorized hours for operation be limited to Sunday through Thursday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And this was with the consent and collaboration with the petitioner. And the placement of the fence perimeter on both dog runs be at least a minimum of 2 feet from the north and south property lines, with some screening or landscaping be provided. And this was to mitigate some concerns that were expressed by one of the neighboring property owners that attended the meetings. In there. So this item is before you for consideration after in there, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. But Mayor, if I can enter a couple of items for the record to ensure that they're part of the public hearing. And that is, of course, our 2006 comprehensive plan. The public hearing notice and affidavit of publication that it was in the St. Louis County on February 27th, 2023, and the addresses that were notified. The staff memorandum that was included in your report dated February 26, 2023 to the Planning and Community Design Commission. The Olivet Municipal Code and Zoning Map, and this presentation before the City Council dated March 14, 2023, including all the attachments. We do have the petitioner here. She wants to provide a brief overview regarding the proposed facility, but I'll be glad to answer any questions regarding this item, or if not, I'll introduce Ms. Holman.
Are there any questions at this time? Okay.
Okay, Ms. Holman?
Appreciate that. Okay. And you're doing the clicking? Is that how we're gonna do this? This-
Oh, okay, so that was the next one. All right, sorry.
Thanks.
Hold on one second. Sorry.
And while she's queuing that up, just as a reminder, feel free to interrupt me and stop me along the way as you have questions. You don't have to wait till the end. In the presentation on the last slide is all my contact information, so you're welcome to reach out to me directly if you feel like that's appropriate. Happy to address any questions as well. All right, so thank you very much. I know I've spoken to several of you over the last several months. A couple of you I haven't spoken to, so thank you for allowing me the opportunity tonight to come and speak to you and introduce myself and the business that we'd like to bring to Olivet. Did you want me just to, okay. Ah, perfect. Hopefully I know how to use it. And by the way, Kimberly Honig, 1160 Walters Way. I think it's supposed to. All right, so it's this guy, the forward button. Awesome. Okay.
have to aim it towards you.
Towards you? Yes, I can do that. Okay. So Kimberly Honig of Honig Management LLC. I own a commercial property over in the Dealman Industrial Park, looking to build out a dog business to bring to Olivet there. My husband Greg and I live just next door over in University City with our 2 dogs, Murphy and Louie, and 2 kitties. So we have a bit of a menagerie going on in our household. I've spent most of my professional career in corporate marketing in various different capacities, finished my master's program over at SIU Edwardsville. But for the past 3 years, I've been outside of marketing, really trying to dig deep and gain the experience and expertise I need to own and operate a dog business. So what is this startup business going to offer? Carlos did a great job highlighting some of the services, but just to give you a little bit more context around here, at its core, it is a recreation and social club for dogs and its owners. Why is this a good idea? Dog recreation areas, dog clubs and social recreation spaces really offer an opportunity for dogs and their owners to add a lot of enrichment to their lives. It makes happier dogs and happier dog owners. It offers exercise and socialization that dogs need to help mitigate that bad behavior that dogs have and help encourage the positive behavior that you really want your dog to have, and also offer some socialization opportunities for the dog owners. Additionally, dog owners, for those of you that don't have pets, they really like to spend time with their pets, and we seek out, pardon me, different opportunities and venues to do that. We're very lucky in St. Louis. A few of the examples that we have over in the city is Bar K. Down in Soulard, we have Dog House, and out in out by Ellisville and Wildwood, we have Happy Hounds. Owners also seek out pet-friendly bars, restaurants, and venues like that, as well as municipal dog parks. Right over here on Olive, we have Fallon's, which is dog-friendly, has a really nice patio area when they put out dog bowls in the summertime. So we're very lucky that we have that right here in our backyard. So these are some of the features that we're looking to bring to provide comfort and enrichment in a safe manner. So Carlos talked about the fencing. It'll be 6-foot fencing all around the perimeter, and any spaces we're looking to keep dogs where we want them to stay. There'll be a key fob security entrance with security cameras. We understand sometimes there's a little unwanted guests that walk around that area. So we're just trying to make sure that we're adding some proper security as much as we can. We're also offering a lot of amenities that hopefully will provide comfort and safety to the dog and the dog owner. Some shade structures, obstacle equipment, play equipment, water play areas like a big splash pad. So when it's really hot out in the summer and those dogs are running around, they can run in and cool themselves off and then continue in their play. For the owners in the building structure, we'll have restrooms that'll be open during all hours that the park will be open. So there'll always be restrooms available for the members. There's dog washrooms. Currently, we're slated to have those as self-wash dog wash services. And then there's a membership and office facility. There will be a small event space that people can rent out for special events, dog birthday parties, things like that. We also are looking into different types of activities that are in the area. There's things that are like, you can do yoga with your dog, and there's all kinds of fun stuff like that that we can use that event space for as well. Any questions before? Okay. This is, as Carlos mentioned, we've got the proposed site plan that we've submitted. What you'll see here is the parking structure is in the front of the building. It's a one-way parking surface parking with the dog facility behind it. And currently we're looking at 2 separate areas designated based on the temperament and size of the dog, with the built out facilities in the middle and then fencing around the sides. I didn't mention, but a lot of people do ask, we're planning on putting AstroTurf specifically designed for dog businesses. And one of the great advantages of that is, as a dog owner, one of the tough parts we have during inclement weather and the winter time is we really can't go to some of the local municipal dog parks because your dog gets really muddy and messy. And I can't take him home and hose him off because it's the middle of winter. So it really leaves me without an opportunity to exercise and socialize my dogs. This opportunity, your dog leaves the facility as clean as it is when it comes, because the AstroTurf has no surfaces for them to get muddy or messy.
So if I can follow up on that, because I asked you that question.
You did.
It's like, oh. And after you answered it, totally made sense. So how often does the AstroTurf wear and tear? And how often does it tend to get replaced?
It's a good question. It depends on the brand.
Okay.
So some AstroTurfs, some businesses, when I spoke to obviously they're touting their own business, but the brand that we're looking at to install is called Canine Grass, K9 like a dog, and it's specifically designed for that. I don't recall how long they expect it to last, but it is an investment and I would expect to get at least 10 years out of that. I know other businesses that have gone with a cheaper type of product, 3-4 years down the road, they're having to replace it because dogs are very rough on their surfaces. And not to mention, if you're cleaning and hosing them down on a regular basis and they're getting sun beating down on them, they're just going to erode if they're not specifically designed for that purpose. You're welcome. Other questions for those that haven't been exposed to this business plan yet?
Dogs, I think, are a lot like people.
Mhm.
You don't know who's going to gel with who. How do you avoid situation where you have one dog that might be more aggressive, if you will? How do you stop them from maybe fighting if it should happen? What do you do? Is there any kind of vetting of personalities, if you will, before you get them all together to play? How do you do that?
Yeah, good question. It's similar, our approach is similar to some of the municipal dog parks in that during the application process, we validate all of your immunization and vaccinations to make sure that your pet is safe to come and socialize with other pet owners. We also ask you about your dog, the breed, the age, the temperament. And we have a conversation with, or I will have a conversation with you when I'm looking over and talking to you about your application. It is a verbal agreement. Once you are a member and you accept the responsibility of your dog and come into the dog park, it's really up to you, much like a municipal dog park, to make sure that your dog has the right temperament. If you know your dog is aggressive, if you know your dog doesn't play well with other dogs, you probably shouldn't be taking them to a dog park until some of that behavior has been addressed. Now, even good dogs, dogs that are good around other dogs, oftentimes will get into skirmishes. And owners know that they have to step in and take care of that themselves. Owners are responsible for any injuries that their dog causes in any municipal park. This will be no different than that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I will say, as we grow membership, and I can't guarantee what that would look like, but when we feel like we're getting to a point that there's certain peaks, I would imagine it's probably a Friday or Saturday. If we feel like there would be a huge benefit to having a staff member kind of just walking the park, that's something I'm looking at considering, but we'll just have to gauge that as we go along.
So if you don't mind, is there a specific peak number that you would take in your membership, a maximum number of membership apps and acceptance?
There isn't a maximum number of applications. What it will be, and I think we talked about this early on, I think it was back in December, is we have 26 parking spots slated. That's really the constraint that we're going to have for our park facility. In terms of like number of capacity of dogs that I can have, if you look at all the industry standards, I technically could have over 300 dogs in that in a safe, effective manner. There's no way we're getting 300 people at that facility. So to answer your question, really is going to be gauging as the membership gauges up and keeping an eye on how busy the parks are. If there's any issues, any complaints, any problems, then that's where we're going to look at curbing membership. Or it could be that we curb, monthly membership when we only take annual membership. So there's different ways that I can try and gauge that.
Are there more slides or
Not really. The last one is just the
are
thank
there
you
any
slide.
questions on my right side?
Yes, thank you. And let's say if I join this club, this dog club, how, can I just bring my dog anytime or do I make reservations?
During operating hours, you can bring it anytime. You'll be given a key fob and you can come and go anytime during normal operating hours.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this, but just so you know, there will be a limit of 2 dogs per owner. So if you're a household that has more than 2 dogs, you'll have to have both owners or both, a consenting adult with you. And the reason why is nobody can really keep an eye on or pick up after 3 dogs. It's just not feasible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
And well, my question was more about the fees. Do they renew every year? Is it an annual membership?
We will definitely be encouraging annual memberships. That's best for us. However, I think as we're a startup business, we need to offer people a little bit of a lower cost of entry. And so we'll be offering monthly memberships as well. We're not going to be doing day passes or week passes. There's too much time and effort that's required to get all the paperwork done, check all the vaccination records, and it really doesn't make sense.
Are there any questions on people that are watching or in the audience? Then we can close our public hearing.
Right.
We'll close our public hearing and go back to our regular meeting. And I would be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve Bill number 2998, an ordinance authorizing a special permit to Hone Management LLC to operate a private dog club and dog run facility on the property grounds addressed as 1160 Walters Way Lane, zoned LID Light Industrial District.
Second,
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes,
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
yes,
Mayor.
Yes.
Motion passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill number 2998 becomes ordinance number 2769.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And if anyone has a chance or has questions, watching the last PCDC meeting, when Kimberly came to the meeting, there were some of the neighbors and people who came to show support, and they talked about some of the concerns, and it was a really good meeting. So, thank you. And thank you, Chief, for the Band-Aids. If anyone wondering why she just walked up to the dais. Next item, please.
Next item is Bill number 2999, an ordinance amending certain sections of Article 11 of Chapter 215 of the Olivet City Code pertaining to the possession, sale, distribution, and cultivation of marijuana and to drug paraphernalia. First and second readings.
See if I can tee this up for you, but I think you may want to come up. As folks are aware, the Amendment 3 had specific requirements with regard to possession, purchase, cultivation of marijuana. It allows persons 21 years of age to purchase, possess up to, and possess up to 3 ounces of marijuana. They can cultivate, and it also establishes certain fines certain for various violations. These changes have been incorporated into our existing code by the city attorney, reviewed by Chief Andreski. And what I would ask for, because there's really very little discussion on these, we're really just following the requirements of Amendment 3. I would request that you, now that we've done this first reading, that you set aside your regular rules and we read the bill for a second time and approve it. So Mayor, you would just need someone to make a motion to set aside regular rules.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we set aside our regular rules and proceed to a second reading of Bill 2999.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay. Can we call for the second reading right now?
Yep, there's if public has anything that they'd like to say.
I'm going to close our regular meeting and go to a public hearing. And if anyone would like to make comments or would like to speak, just raise your hand in the Zoom to show us that you'd like to come speak, and we'll bring you over. You'll need to identify yourself as well as your address. Does anyone like to speak at this time?
At this time, I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay. And then we will close back up our public hearing and we'll return to our city council meeting. And are any of the council members have any questions for Chief?
If I could ask the
sorry.
the clerk to read it a second time.
Thank you.
And Bill number 2999, an ordinance amending certain sections of Article 11 of Chapter 215 of the Olivet City Code pertaining to the possession, sale, distribution, and cultivation of marijuana and to drug paraphernalia.
Are there any
Second,
comments?
but I'm gonna ask for English. An ordinance amending certain bills, certain sections of Article 11, if the final, when you sign it, Madam Mayor, if that could be corrected, please.
The title that you have on the screen is not the title of the
Yeah,
ordinance.
the ordinance is
Title of the ordinance is a little
is
bit more
correct.
than-
Okay. Okay.
Are there any questions about this ordinance for Chief Andreski?
No.
Self-explanatory, okay?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Bill 2999, ordinance amending certain sections of Article 9. Or the Article 11 of Chapter 215 of the Olivet City Code pertaining to the possession, sale, distribution, and cultivation of marijuana and drug paraphernalia.
Call for the
Second.
vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill number 2999 becomes ordinance number 2770.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Chief Andreski. Next item, please.
Next item is Bill 3000, an ordinance of the city of Olivet, Missouri that amends sections of Chapter 535 sewers, Article 4 residential sanitary sewer lateral repair program policy and procedures. First reading.
Would you like to start? Or would
I
you
can
like-
start it. It's pretty, with the council in just in 2022, repealed and replaced the sanitary sewer line repair program. We got rid of a lot of the or a lot of the procedures and that it just with the policy. Since then, we've seen costs skyrocket, and we've also seen some a variety of special cases. With reviewing this again with the Public Works Director, Bruce McGregor, we've added a couple of sections. I would like to say that there is one correction on here before it comes to this for your second meeting. It's to, and the memo is correct, but we had gone back, I had missed it in the ordinance. That final whereas, it should be to increase to 6,000 and additional 3,000 for projects that are exceptionally difficult. So this would actually be 3,000.
So here's what happened. It's a confluence of several things. Prices are hitting the increases are hitting the residential type work for sewer laterals. We find that contractors are very busy right now, so they're putting out more expensive prices to get the work completed. And we've run into some very complicated projects. So when we looked at how we can help our residents the best, the first thing we thought about is, well, when the program was written in 2004, $3,500, how do you adjust that for inflation? So if you adjust it to today's dollars, that's about $5,600. So that's how we got to the 6,000 mark, thinking that, that'll carry us for another 5 or 10 years before we have to make an adjustment again for inflation to account for costs, materials, equipment, et cetera. And then we added in the clause for the exceptionally difficult. And what does that mean? We have a resident now who has the trifecta of complicated. It is a rear yard repair. There is no access for large equipment to get to the rear yard. It's exceptionally deep. The main is 17 feet. And the main is located underneath the fence and a shrub on the property line. So this is just an unreasonably, impossibly complicated repair. We have another lady who came in that hers exits the house at 13 feet deep at the house. And there's a break there and there's foundation movement, and the contractors who've looked at it have said, you really want me to dig up right there? I don't think I want to dig up right there. And then so we're expanding that definition of a exceptionally difficult to also include when a lateral would cross underneath another physical object, a utility. And I'm not thinking like a smaller utility pipe, like irrigation. We're talking about larger stormwater pipes. In certain cases, in Indian Meadows, a lateral across underneath the 24, 36, or a 48-inch diameter stormwater pipe. And it's a very difficult repair to do the excavation underneath to get at the main. It's complicated. So those are the things that we're trying to look out for to help residents with a little more opportunity for participation. I'm expecting that most of our repairs will be standard, in that $3,000 to $4,000 range that we've been doing for years. Prior to this past couple months, I think I only had one in that be 14 years where we had a main that was over 14 feet deep, where we did a repair to it. Any questions? Glad to answer.
Any questions? Any questions on here?
Yeah.
Councilmember Waldman.
I really appreciate this. This was a baby of mine many years ago that Senator Joan Bray sponsored when I said, cost you nothing. Raise it to $50. So the final number 6,000, you said typically there's 35, 4,500.
Yeah.
So previous to that, we weren't paying 100%. We were paying a good portion.
We were
Right.
paying 80% up to a
Right.
maximum of 3,500. So if a project was in the mid-4s, then that 80% kicked in at the maximum, and the residents were responsible for anything over.
All right. So my question now is, with the fact that we'll move this monetary number up to the 6,000 mark, is that going to again be to pay 100%, or are we still sticking at the 80-20?
We're gonna stay at the direct payment with no up to that limit.
Okay.
But so no 80%,
Mhm, mhm.
because it'd be difficult to structure, I guess, but we could,
Mhm.
but no.
No, to me, I'm happy to hear the answer.
Mhm.
I just didn't know what the answer was until you answered it. So thank
Mr.
you
Mc-
very much.
Mr. McGregor, can you clarify for everybody the change we made from back in the fall?
Sure.
That we left the 80-20 and went to
S-
the reimbursement?
So we did do some streamlining of the program guidelines. When the program was originally written, the intent was the homeowner was well-informed about sewer laterals, and the city would basically just do the paperwork. So most of the responsibility was on the property owner to procure the estimates, to write a scope of work, to do everything, and the city would just administer the funds. So we streamlined the process to recognize that the city does a lot more participation in assisting residents who really don't even know that they have a sewer lateral, let alone what to do when there is a problem. And then what we did was the next part was it was a reimbursement process, which means the property owner had to pay the upfront costs. And then 2 to 4 weeks later, the city would write a check back, depending on the cycles coming out of finance, and they would get 80%. Most cases, residents were able to carry the money with savings. But we did have some folks come in on fixed income or on their own saying, well, choose, do I pay daycare, the rent, or fix the lateral? So it was a financial hardship for them to print the money. So that's where we came up with the idea that we would just do the direct payment up to a certain amount. So if, let's just say a project came in at $4,000 under the previous, the contractor would complete the work. They would bill the resident for $500. They would invoice the city for $3,500. And then the city directly pays the $3,500, and then the resident doesn't have to front any money just to get reimbursed. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes. My personal experience was that they wanted just you to pay upfront before they did the work, the difference. That they didn't bill you after the fact.
Your plumber that wanted to do your job?
Yeah.
Shame on your plumber.
No,
No,
it's a contract with the city, and they ask that the resident pay it upfront,
Some-
but they're not paying people.
Each contractor has a different policy. Some
Okay.
don't require any payment down. Some want 50% down, some want 25% down. It's just the policy of the company.
I found it to be an excellent experience, and I also know that we get letters praising Mr. McGregor. Barb says they come from his mother, but we get a
Yep.
lot of residents because this is who they interact with, and he makes it easy to do and accessible. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
It's a good service for the residents.
So
I'm
you'll be
really
back
happy to do it.
on March 28th for the final reading.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And again, it will be a 6,000, 3,000, 6,000 for the max and 3,000 for the.
And
I'll
we'll-
correct that.
And it'll be corrected for the next meeting. Thank you.
And who determines, who makes that final decision of the exceptions for the
I
additional?
do. I qualify all of the work anyway. I'm the fiduciary of the funds essentially in partnership with finance, but
Okay,
I'm the sort of qualifier. Is it even eligible for repair in the first place?
okay, yeah.
Or participation?
Next item, please.
Next item is Bill 3001, an ordinance repealing section 240.100 of chapter 240 of the Olivet Municipal Code and enacting a new section 240.100 relating to waiving of fees for 5 Oaks on Morrison and the city center. First reading.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Beverly Tucker Knight, Parks and Recreation Director. This evening is the first reading for a bill that establishes a policy for free use of city facilities at 5 Oaks on Morrison. And the ordinance includes the feedback from the council following the work session last week. I do not have a presentation this evening. I will take care of that at the second reading. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Beverly?
I think she went through a fine presentation at the work session. I don't know. I have any questions.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is resolution number 2023-235, a resolution approving the incorporation of Olivet Parks Foundation, Inc.
This be Darren Mann, Finance Director.
Good evening, everyone. So we have before, in front of you tonight, a resolution approving the incorporation of a foundation called the Olivet Parks Foundation Olivet Parks Foundation Incorporated. With the direction of this resolution, this corporation would be this company would be incorporated, and then with the direction therein to set this up as a 501c3, which is a nonprofit corporation. Now, this would allow donations and grants for parks and recreation that as we kind of read through those documents. There's some grants and some donations that the city can't accept or can't apply for because of this. We don't have a 501c3. This would allow that. This is this kind of entity has been discussed for many years, even prior to, as maybe an apparatus, prior to the bond vote for the community center and the parks improvements. And here we are for that. What does it look like? It would look, once this incorporation and these kind of processes are initiated, it would look almost seamlessly with the rest of city operations. If we read through those bylaws as they would be adopted, the board members are the council members as they sit. If any one of you were to change, then so do the board members. And then likewise, the executive director is the city manager, as that city manager changes. So in that way, it won't exist on its own. It won't have a separate kind of entity. It'll kind of live by itself. That's all that I have as far as here. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I don't know if the city manager has anything to add on top of that, but pretty straightforward at this point.
So just in layman's terms, what is the purpose of doing this? How is this going to help us?
For one, would allow us to accept donations that otherwise maybe people wouldn't feel comfortable with. They would like to have the vehicle of a 501c3 nonprofit corporation to do that. We've run into a couple grants that we don't qualify for as a local government or at city that we would like to apply for various reasons. And the foundations or the granting agencies don't give to governments; they give to 501c3s.
Understood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are the donations tax deductible to this entity?
Yes,
If you
any
donate,
donations to this entity would be tax deductible.
okay, and so it would be the responsibility of the city secretary of this board to provide the letters to those that donate? How would that go?
That's right, and I think it reads such that those duties can be delegated as needed.
Mhm.
And those duties would probably be delegated to the staff of the city.
All right.
Those are some details that after this resolution is adopted, the incorporation occurs. There's some details that we will need to come back and before anything gets operational.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
No.
This is a resolution, so. This is a resolution, so we can just approve it now, right? We don't need a second reading? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-235, a resolution approving the incorporation of Olivet Parks Foundation, Inc.
Second.
Open vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes,
Chairman Carl,
Yes,
Mayor,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
The next item is resolution number 2023-236, a resolution appointing Darren Mann as the Olivet interim city manager and establishing reimbursement during the interim.
Just have 1 second.
If I could just note that when we touch the link on the agenda, it takes us to, we're sorry, but there's-
It's not, I'm working on it. I'm
Oh,
making a
okay,
change right now.
okay.
If I could ask the council to move on to
Item
the
number
selection
12.
of, item number 11, selection of depository institution, that'd be great.
We go to item number 12, please.
Item number 12 is selection of depository institution.
Good evening. Would your staff? Going on.
Good evening once again. We have in front of us, tonight, the selection of
Sorry.
there we go.
Bringing it up.
The depository institutions for another 5-year term. Remember, 5 years ago, we selected, 8 years ago, as a matter of fact, we selected Enterprise Bank and Trust to be our depository, which is, I guess, a fancy term for, we do our banking there, checks, deposits, kind of thing. All of the wire transfers, online banking, that kind of thing. So 8 years ago, we switched, so the 5-year term that we had most recently expires at the end of April. So an RFP was released in January, had it out for several weeks. Did receive 3 responses, and there were 3 responses were very competitive. You can see kind of where we are at, out there in that chart in the middle. We will enjoy, the recommendation, I guess, in the end was what we stay with Enterprise Bank. And this was a close, and every time we do this, it gets a little bit closer as far as the decisions go. But we will enjoy another increase in our interest rate, which is a positive move and makes the work here well worth our while. One of the most interesting things that we've kind of was moving forward with this ask is the automation of our accounts payable. 5 years ago, automated accounts payable was not in its infancy, but definitely in an early stages. So it's come a long ways. It's more of like a standardized usage in our kind of business setting. And so during those interviews, we explored that option and have found at least 2 good options inside of that. One of them was with Enterprise Bank, and so that's why we're going with the recommendation for another 5-year term with Enterprise Bank. But more than happy to answer any questions there on anything the process we went through and during selection too.
This is not critical to this, but I'm just curious when you say that accounts, are you gonna actually integrate your accounts payable to the bank in some way as opposed to?
Yes, yeah, I guess there's a broader picture. 5 years ago, we had just selected GovSense to be a new ERP system. So we weren't ready to kind of integrate anything with that automated payables. And so what that means is it has varying levels of touching and looking and kind of those kinds of things. But the easiest way to think about it, an invoice comes into my inbox, I can forward it to somebody. And with, they say 99.9% accuracy, they can view the vendor, the coding, and the amounts and pay it for about $5 a piece. Now, that doesn't seem like, that seems a little high when you pay your bills. But
Not when
there's,
you're talking
I
about
can
paying people to do
name
the
about
job.
$2 in actual fixed cost
Mm-hmm.
between the check and the amount of time. And this integrates back in with all, with our finance software itself. So
I mean, if you've got,
squeezing efficiencies. is
right,
really
if
what
you've
we're
got to have someone that's taking it out of your AP and put it into the bank or something, you know, you easily pay for that manual work.
You can barely see Bruce's shoes underneath there, but he's tap dancing for something like this. It saves us a lot of time and some
Yeah.
fairly higher levels of what we do because as we enter our own build.
Okay, so if there aren't any other questions, I'll make a motion. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
Councilmember Waldman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 questions. First is with the news of today, you know, and smaller banking, not to be a Bank of America's and the bigger ones. I don't know how many accounts we have with Enterprise, but all of our accounts clearly have under $250,000 in them.
No, but I will say what we do otherwise, it's I can get fired up about this, so I'll just say, we have, it's a requirement from the state that all institutions of our kind of, our style, which is the local government, are collateralized by a minimum of 100%. So that means, anything in excess of 250,000, there's something, it's called, we use a tri-party collateral agreement. That's at Bank of New York, BNY. There's, let's say, $3 million worth of agencies of securities with our name kind of earmarked on the side. And there's 3 signatures have to happen in order for that to be released to us. But if Enterprise Bank, something were to happen with Enterprise, we would go to pull out this little document and call someone at Bank of New York and we would get our money. So exposure to something like this, as near as anyone could tell, is zero. And all of our investments at CDs, if we notice, those are under 250, right at $250,000, the FDIC insurance. The ICS, which is that insured cash sweep program,
It's not.
it actually, it finds little bank names with, and they're all under 250,000. So in that regard, yes, and we use a repo sweep with a tri-party collateral.
And on the numbers here for the estimated earnings and estimated fees. The estimated earnings are higher with the other 2 banks. And the estimated fees are lower than it's higher than the other 2 banks. So help me understand those numbers and why that's a benefit.
Sure. Number one is, well, no, you're exactly right. The estimated earnings is based on idle money at a bank. That can always be combated through a little bit of work in your finance department of finding somewhere else to put it. And right now, so we use Commerce. We instituted this was like into December, middle December, where we went to this 3-month ladder of large chunks of treasuries or, of US agencies. And that's how we fight this. We're only getting any one of these right here are at 2.3 to 2. The range is right here at 2.3 to 2.5%. I think the enterprise is at 1.85 or 2%. Right now, in those same investments, if I took this $2 million out, it would get 4, on these 3-month kind of agencies that we've been rolling. So we can always fight that this is just with idle funds. That wasn't always the case just a year ago or so, we wouldn't have said that. The estimated fees there. There's 2 factors in this. One is proximity. The nearest Commerce Bank, I think, is there's one in Clayton, and then there's one in Creveport, just at just on the other side of 270. Okay, the Carrollton Bank, there's the nearest one, I believe, is in Clayton. Okay, so our just the convenience of that is one thing, but our police officers they facilitate the our bank bags. To do that, we would have to offload this to an armored car service or something of that nature. And that's a shift in our operations. And it also makes us a little inflexible with how we would. That cost is included here, but yes, there is a cost. That cost is included in these that kind of elevate these fees. The other side of this is switching banks is a very time intensive and strange process. For me, I tell Denise and my bank stuff's not taking, I call like 6 people and everything's fine. I tell my credit card different company. We get more passive checks or paychecks come from Ameren and from Spire, and they come automatically. They're not through checks. And so to get a hold of these people, they often don't care nearly as much as we do about our monthly financial report to get this stuff in the right place. So to do this is a 3 to 6 month process. At the timing of our next agenda item, it does not bode all that well. That was something we talked about, though, is how long can you hold fees if we were to do this within a year? That is why the earnings are lower and the fees are higher. Their automated payable system kept a lot more of the controls we wanted on top of that. With any of these RFPs, you're always kind of ready to switch. You never know what you're going to get. But this one, I was very happy with that automated payables program. And I think that the fees and the earnings that we would get there are well earned through that system. If that doesn't work, these are 1-year auto renewing the bank's contract is perpetual. They would never change if we never asked. So this is authorization for 5 years. We could cut this off at any time.
I appreciate the explanation and as to why this versus that. And at the end of the day, these are the things we don't see as the elected officials, is the cost internally administratively to you guys doing your jobs. And then what does that cost compared to what you're telling me here? So thank you.
No problem. Back to you, Bill.
If you want me to make the motion.
Please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the city manager to enter into a 5-year agreement with Enterprise Bank and Trust to provide banking and depository services for the city of Olivet.
Second,
Call for the vote.
Yes.
Now it's, okay.
yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you.
Good, thank you.
Ms. Sondak, do you want us to backtrack to 11 or
Please.
keep going?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I was having, ah. Sorry.
And would you like,
Nope, we're all good. I'm
Okay.
bringing it
so
up here.
Denise does not need to reread it.
All right. Sorry about that. So with my retirement on April 3rd, the council in the process of hiring a full-time city manager. It's, it's become clear that the new person's not gonna be here by the time I leave, and so the council needs to appoint an interim city manager. And after discussions with the council, the recommendation is that the finance director, Darren Mann, fill the absence of the city manager during the time between my leaving and with the hiring of the new city manager. We are before the council is something that's a little bit different. The council's talked about understanding that when a new city manager comes, we're going to continue to have some projects that are going to be ongoing, in particular, the community center. It's probably not going to make a lot of sense for that person to get back into that project. They're going to have a learning curve with other things. So the interim city manager continues to work on that as a city manager. There's some overlap. So the recommendation is that over a 4-month period from the first day of employment of the permanent city manager, that the reduction in base salary be reduced by $3,000 per month until it comes to that, until after the 4th month, when the finance director goes back to the salary level that's been budgeted in the FY24 budget document.
And it was 4 months, not 5?
Yes,
Thank you.
so you can make whatever you want.
No, that's fine. I thought the math had worked out for 5, but if we're good. Are there any questions for our conversation? Our previous conversation?
I think it's appropriate. It's
I think it's a great idea to have the overlap when the new city manager arrives, and we're grateful to Mr. Mann for being willing to take on this interim responsibility. So would someone like to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve resolution 2023-236, a resolution appointing Mr. Darren Ching Man as the Olivet interim city manager and establishing reimbursement during the interim.
Second,
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Absolutely.
Chairman Carl,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion passed.
You're jumping the gun. We got number 13 before you.
He is number 13.
So 13 is the appointment of the new PCBC person.
No, that's number 14.
Not according to mine.
Not according to mine.
No, it doesn't make any, you can,
Fine, we'll go to 14.
I'm just gonna, you can take things out of order. I would go to the appointment to the Planning and Community Design Commissioner.
You're just so excited to talk to us again. Next item, please.
Next item is appointment to the Planning and Community Design Commission.
I'd like to call on Councilmember Waldman, who's the liaison to that commission.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Earlier tonight, we completed an interview of Mr. Sam Wallach, who is interested in becoming a member of the Planning and Community Design Commission. He is an attorney. He is a resident of Olivet that wants to contribute to Olivet. And I would like to nominate Mr. Sam Wallach as to be appointed as a member of the Planning and Community Design Commission.
Second.
Yes, if I can be, that position is completing the term that was vacated by Richard Brophy. So that term does end on July 31st, 2024.
And the city will send a letter out to him should he be approved.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. Next item now. Number 14.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I don't know why, I just feel so happy these days.
Barb, you're gonna.
I don't know, I don't know. I don't know, it's about the news. Something happened around Valentine's Day and I've just been like walking on a cloud ever since.
No.
Yeah.
He's from
Okay.
this part of the country.
Yeah, she's got just as big a smile over there too. Yeah, right, yeah.
Can you switch over and I'll grab the screens?
For you to grab the screen. Okay, let me see. I don't,
Oh, snap.
you are podium 1. Is that correct? Or podium 2? Do you remember which, is this podium 1 or 2? Which one? Hmm.
Indian Meadows. So first off, I was going to share what is the first thing that happens when somebody comes in and wants to do a water main or some sort of a trench type excavation. Well, we have a guide for that sets out all of the expectations about what kind of fill to use, how to backfill, what you're supposed to do for restoration, where you stage materials, communications with residents, notifying emergency services. We have a 5-page document about this. Okay. Water mains are kind of unique because they go in the ground and then they have to get dug up again. So the reason you're seeing in Indian Meadows crappy work out there is because the main's going to get dug up again when it's time to transition each resident's water service from the old water main to the new one. And that can only be completed after the water main segments are installed, sanitized, and tested for water quality twice. Okay, so they don't want to do a final surface treatment. Okay, so it's very common. Everybody asks, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. It's because they're opening it up again. It's not final restoration. Okay, so occasionally we'll get a water main project come in, and I was going to share we have a pavement evaluation. We look at our adjacent streets, and the way I look at it is having a water main project is sort of like getting a small grant for our pavement, right? They have to dig up the trench. Our requirements, what they require them to restore with pavement greater than the width of the trench. So essentially we're getting 4 and 6 feet of width of free asphalt associated with the project. When the pavement rating is 6 or 5 or 4 or 3, then what I'm doing is I'm looking at that as an opportunity to leverage what's being done as a part of the restoration to complete the rest of the pavement. Okay. And we did this once on North Price Road. We did one lane from Old Bonham all the way up to Olive when they were doing a water main replacement project. In this case, the contractor that was awarded at least the first phase of the asphalt repair, I did not have a good working relationship with on another project. So the point of this item was just sort of to be informative that our goal is to, we've already agreed on Engel that we're going to have Missouri American pay us directly for what would have been the asphalt work. And we're going to use one of our pre-qualified vendors who responded to our on-call paving project. And then we're going to use our capital funds supplemented by the Missouri American funds to pave the entire street. Okay, so that means from Dealman Road all the way over to almost the terminal end where Grayley is, where it's concrete, we'll have all new asphalt. We're exploring the same options. We haven't gotten the payout numbers from Missouri American yet, but to do the same thing with Green Oaks, Cordell, and Engleton. And it's a big project in our capital funds, and I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what our intent was. Now, when we get over to Oliver, Chantel, and Indian Meadows, that's most likely going to fall in the next budget year. And we have anticipations of doing the same process with those streets as well. Save a little bit of Chantel, which we had already repaved a few years ago, the cul-de-sac and the terminal end, so we wouldn't do the entire street. But we are exploring those opportunities there. It is possible that the contractor doing the work on Chantel, Oliver, Indian Meadows is already working with one of our pre-qualified vendors. So if that is the case, then we will just sort of supplement the work they're already paying out. We'll have a little bit of a different setup with them to do the additional work.
So how is that communication gonna go? If this gentleman is using one of our preferred pavement folks, do they always connect with you, Bruce? Is there that connection of
We
you?
connect with them before the project's even, when we have developed two parts of this. We've been communicating with Missouri American. Missouri American has finally put the right people on board.
Okay.
So we have a good liaison with their capital, what they call a main replacement program. And the person running that capital program, we communicate with his office So when they come out with a report that says in 2023, we're going to replace these mains,
Mhm.
they gave that to me last year.
Okay.
And I said, okay, this is great. And so our document that goes through all the details about restoration and what our requirements are goes out with the Missouri American bid package. So everybody who bids on that project knows exactly what we expect. And then again, when they come in for a permit, we sit down, we have meetings with them. When they begin the job, we walk the entire job with them to make sure they go over where everything, the staging is and so on, all those items where we have laid out in the expectations.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Nope. Okay. Great, thank you. I've got an education because I've been watching it on Angle.
Yes. We've had a few calls. It's curious. We haven't, I think I've only had a handful of calls over there, but they will put down concrete over the trench and then do the asphalt.
Thank you.
Next item is authorization to enter into an agreement with North American Bus Company for summer camp transportation at a rate not to exceed $4,240.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Beverly Tucker Knight, Parks and Recreation Director. And you have before you this evening a request to enter into an agreement for bus transportation for summer camps. So during the pandemic, we did not do any field trips at all. And then we brought them back on a limited basis last year, primarily going swimming. And now this year, we're venturing a little bit further back out into the field trip world, but still not at pre-pandemic levels. So this year we conducted our formal bid process, RFP, and we had 2 responses, which was great. And the amount before you is not an amount that would typically pass the threshold for approval by the city council. However, summer camps are a variable thing. We could suddenly have to rearrange where the trips are. Anything can happen. So we wanted to make you aware of this contract because if significant enough changes were made in the destinations of where the camps are going, it could conceivably suddenly accelerate and be above the $10,000 threshold. So that is why you have this before you this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can we volunteer to go on the field trips?
Yes, you may, if you're fingerprinted and you've passed through our volunteer screening process.
Oh, very cool. They look exciting. Are there any questions for Beverly Tucker Knight?
You were happy that there were 2.
Yes, very happy.
Sometimes I think 2 is low.
Well, yeah, two would be low. We've had years where we only have 1. And you've probably all seen the signs all over the region, and actually it's nationwide, a shortage of bus drivers. So we are very pleased that we had 2 solid bids from reputable companies.
I would be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with North American Bus Company for summer camp transportation not to exceed $4,240.
Second,
All for the vote?
Councilmember Clark.
Yeah.
Councilmember Knox.
yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes,
Chairman Carl.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Next item, please.
Next item is an update of Great Rivers Greenway Centennial Greenway projects within Olivet.
Hey. Yeah, I just saw this. I am going to do this for a moment. Okay, one sec. Pull that out.
What happened to that cheerful disposition?
It's all gone, worn out.
This is just the overview. Are you ready? Oh, wait, hold on one second. Make sure I'm sharing. Okay. And Bruce, do you want to kick this off or do you want me to? Would you like me to start and then you can just center yourself?
So 599D, I call it the I-170 interchange. That's at the beginning of the project, just west, or west of the landing by Byers. That project has been let by GRG. It is a $277,000 project, predominantly revolving around curb ramp and alignment improvements underneath the I-170, along with improved pedestrian signals. Project scheduled to begin in 4 or 5 weeks, depending on the availability of these crosswalk beacons that are going in. Along with this work, there is a graphic that's going to get painted on the underside of the underpass that says Centennial Greenway.
Oh, wait, hold on one second. I think I have it.
It gets painted.
Hold on one second. I've got this now. Just one second. Let me I want to make you happy. That's before I leave. I've got one dream.
Just once.
I have one dream to make you happy just once.
Came in at 6 this morning.
All right, where are we
All right, so
starting? Where are we
first,
starting,
go
buddy?
to I-170 graphic first, so we can show that. So this is what's going underneath the underpass.
I have to share the screen.
Sure, you go.
Sorry.
So that is
Very cool.
what's going underneath the underpass. And it was a lot of negotiation on GRG's part to get MoDOT to agree to this.
And you're coming from the 170?
Yes, so this will be on the south side of Olive.
Cool.
Okay, so it's going to be very pretty. It's painted on, and Bazan Painting, who's in Dealman Industrial, they were awarded. They're the subcontractor to Ranieri Construction to paint this on the underside.
Mhm.
So the Centennial, the C is where the bike, it points towards University City.
The C is where the people ask for donations. Yes.
Yes,
And the Y.
Where's the trash bag?
right. And now if you can-
Exactly. I mean,
Okay.
they're just, they're there all the time now. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, so if you go back to the folder and
Back
do
in the
I-170 to Dealman. And we'll see how this renders for you.
Oh, hold on. I need to get shared.
Let's get them happy.
I don't know if you can do speed on there or not, but we're coming in at the landing here. And pause. Okay. So there we are. So these areas highlighted in blue is the work area for 599D or the I-170 segment. So those are the curb ramps and the alignments that they're improving, crossing the on-ramp and the off-ramp on the south side of Olive. And then when you cross under the bridge is where the decal or the painting is going to go. So we can go a little bit further forward and pause. So the next segment is the Olive Crossing segment that is being constructed it's going in construction with the Olive Crossing development. This design was reviewed by GRG in conjunction with the developer on site to get our crossing north-south at Hilltop. And then the Greenway will continue in front of Chevy's, so we can go play again. Yes, it
Yeah.
is adjacent to roadway, just like the existing Greenway is. It just had to be reconfigured with all the lane changes at the development, at the crossing development. So we're gonna cross north, continue on the existing, and then pause. And this is where the greenway sort of ended by the side of CVS, where that node was with the little bench. And the highlighted area in blue, that's more or less where the original greenway was laid out way back in 2006 on the old rail corridor. They did a little bit of work to reconfigure for the Opus development, which is sort of the vacant muddy ground on the right of the screen. But that is to accommodate their main entrance coming up to Price Road. Going pause. And keep going a little bit further. And pause again. So we're looking at the global center of public works in the world there.
Center of the city, right?
Yes. So a couple things to note here along Alice, that is where we are proposing to build the new sidewalk that will come in and attach across the Alice side of what was the Opus, now the Balboa development. So we'll have a pedestrian connection there. The other thing to note is this property in front of Public Works and all the way down to the right of the screen begins the railroad corridor acquisition from the UP. Okay, so that land between the yellow lines and points to the upper left corner or really sort of northwesterly, that is all beginning what GRG's been negotiating with UP to purchase. Okay, and they are within 2 months, 4 months
Yes.
of closing the deal, which is a monumental task for them to do this. So I caution to say anything about this because they've gone so far with this. Okay. So then we can keep going, and we're going to follow the rail corridor north, passing Auto Beauty and the Murphy complex. And if you see in the top of the screen, that yellow area, that is the floodplain, the 1% floodplain on the River Des Peres. And pause here, please. So the orange, this is one of the original alignments. The orange goes around and sort of hugs that zone on the 1290 Dealman parcel, trying to make minimal impact on the property. Okay. The issue with keeping it there is it's topographically challenging because of the slope of the property going down to the River Des Peres. We're also looking at another alignment option, which goes down 9383 along the north side of the parking lot as something to consider for an alternative. Both of those options would get us over to Dealman Road. It's just a matter of now that we have the railroad or under agreement, what do we do next to get from the terminal end of the rail corridor to Dealman Road? And the little spot where the bend is in the orange, that is where the railway property acquisition ends. And as part of the requirement of the sale, the little bridge that exists for the rail that's there now has to get removed. Okay. So we can go forward and we're going to follow this over, and you can sort of see a little bit of the slope coming through. And pause one more time. The dark blue area crossing at Dealman Road, that work is being completed by St. Louis County with their road improvement project, which is ongoing right now in here in Olivet and all around. So we successfully took a lot of work to get them to include this in their project, but it really made the most sense to have them do it when their work was being completed. And we can close out this video. Just take us up and around again, so you can go back to the beginning limit of this side of the project. So that is I-170 to Dealman Road.
Incredible.
They don't even have to build it for me. I'm good.
Okay, and we've got the next section, the next video is Dealman to Orson.
Okay, let me just open that.
That alternative is going behind what businesses on that?
HEIS.
That was this. Okay.
Yep. I didn't realize it was gonna be this.
Um. Yeah, sorry. It, it's not gonna work again. This is the one- That's it, right? The one in Warson? Okay.
Okay, pause. So if we look on the left, you'll see a little bit of darker orange to the south of Napoleon. That's where the existing retaining wall is. That retaining wall is going to get relocated and a new retaining wall constructed a little bit further to the south. And the greenway is going to continue in that area immediately on backup curb on Napoleon. And then to sort of be mindful of the residents who are on Napoleon, we're taking the trail a little bit more to the south, more into the park property, since we have such nice area to work. And this design is submitted, approved by MoDOT. It's a TAP grant. And we're going to catch up to it in a little bit. We have successfully received all of the easements from the property owners. So we can keep going with play. In that area of purple coming in here, that is the Parks Master Plan improvements that have already been completed with the connections to the existing trail that comes off of Napoleon, so that we have a connector for the residents on Napoleon and a connection to the Parks Master Plan improvements.
That is what this blue line is right
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
is a Napoleon and the path that
Yes.
that
the
led from
existing path.
Napoleon to, okay.
Yeah, so you can see just a little highlight there in the lower right where the existing trail is, that's gonna go away. There Parks Master Plan, that yellow spot right there is a node. Those are some node features in there. It's just a little spot for a bench. Signage. All right, now this one I sort of messed up here. So that one I had a heck of a time doing the.
Does anyone need Dramamine?
Yeah, that's a little, anyway, we don't need to continue anymore. That was gonna show just our connection to the existing playground equipment. We're gonna have a water fountain there. We've roughed in a water pipe to go there. And another node with a bench and so on for people to stop at that little spot. And that's the connection to the existing trail. And then these are paused. Those are all of the properties that that we needed easements from. If you recall, there was a fence that was constructed back there. Previously, residents want the fence back, so we have to move it onto the property line. So we need easements to have access to their property to actually install the fence. Because to do it, you need to stand on their property. That took quite a while to get all of those easements with the residents, city staff, Barb specifically, and GRG spent a lot of time talking with residents abroad in here about the details of the project. And that has all been submitted to MoDOT. Okay, we'll keep going. Take this around. So what we're thinking with this right now, and we're going to come right around and turn to the south. And we'll connect to the Warson Park segment of the Greenway. And as was stated earlier, the concrete is all in place. And I think they're just waiting for good weather in spring to do the associated landscaping and maybe another node feature that's going to come in at a couple spots around there. For the TAP grant segment, which is between Dealman and Warson Park, we're expecting to begin that next late fall, early winter. which would time out well if, because there are tree removals for the brown nose bat and being dormant and so on. So that's what we're projecting right now, pending everything going through all of the MoDOT steps. And we would expect this to be about a 6-month project, start to end. Any questions?
Very nice.
It's incredible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. And just so the, Bruce is taking over with, being the kind of liaison, when I leave. He's been working with all the projects with maybe the exception of the Warson Park, project.
Great. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is hearing from citizens, part 2.
Warm down.
Okay, warm out. Okay, next item, please.
Next item is review and approval of minutes.
There are a number of council minutes, as you can see. I was trying to get some of those work sessions done. We've had a number of meetings, as has been discussed earlier. So, and I know some of those were added later. So if you didn't have a chance to review them, you can bring them back for your meeting on the 28th, or you can go ahead and review them tonight.
And when they make a motion, can they lump them?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody want to wait?
I haven't read all of it.
Right. Up to you, Larry.
You want us to wait?
Has anyone else seen all of them and been able to keep their thoughts on what I would expect that?
I was able to look them over, but I just was more of a skim than a deep dive.
You know, kind of hearing that and hearing that's an okay thing to do. I would prefer that we do that and allow the time for us to look at it rather than guess it and
No
assume it.
Could we approve them next week? Oh, we don't vote at our
No,
work session.
we'll do it at the 28th.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you. Next item.
Next item is the city attorney's report.
Mayor, I have no report. I understand that there's a request for a closed session for the personnel
Personnel.
section of the Sunshine Law, section 610-20-021.3.
So moved.
Here, a second.
Second,
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
yes.
Chairman,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes,
motion passed.
we will adjourn into closed session. Or do we need to have someone make a motion?
No, we just did.
We just did.
We
I'm tired, sorry. We are back from closed session. No decisions were made or actions taken. I'd be happy to
Move to adjourn.
to hear a motion. Adjourn.